Welcome to the coaching table. I'm Thomas Thompson, and I help leaders like you have the conversations that you're not having so we can discover your leadership story. And the conversation that we're not having often enough centers today around the word delegation, specifically the delegation handoff. Handoffs are critical. Handoffs are often where the race is won or lost, or the game is won or lost. It's on those handoffs. I ran track in high school. I was a relay guy, and we would practice going faster. We would practice training. We'd practice all these things. But one thing that we spent a ton of time in this mile relay was practicing our handoffs. It looked kind of goofy sometimes. If you looked out on the track, you would see the four of us standing in a line, just practicing handing off the baton. We weren't running anywhere, but that's because we knew that it didn't matter how fast we ran the relay. If we fumbled the handoff, we'd lose the race. Same thing's true in football. You know, when that quarterback takes the snap and he begins to turn to his right or to his left, he's expecting there to be a running back who's not only right in position and right there, but has the arms up the right way to take that ball so that they can go forward. That handoff gets fumbled, you've got a loss of yards at the best and maybe even 6 points the other way at the worst. Handoffs are critical. And they're super critical when it comes to the issue of delegation. How are we handing off responsibility to others in such a way that we are moving our story forward, that we're moving our leadership forward? Well, I want to spend a few weeks talking about this in the coaching table because, quite honestly, I have made so many delegation mistakes in my past that I have learned firsthand the good, the bad, and the ugly of delegation. And I want to kind of share with you a secret about the delegation handoff over these next few weeks that I think is going to help you take your delegation to a next level. And it could be whether you lead a team of one, whether you lead a small team in an organization. It could be even how you are parenting and coaching up your own kids. But that delegation handoff is still critical. So today, let me share with you two reasons why it's critical. Why is delegation and the delegation handoff so critical to your leadership? Two reasons. Number one, the delegation handoff is important for your own leadership development. It is for your development as a leader. Imagine for a second that quarterback takes the ball, drops back, turns to his right, running back grabs the ball, the quarterback doesn't let go of the ball, and they both run down the field together with it. How far do you think they're going to get? Not far. Or the same thing with that relay runner. If it's the relay runner behind me hands the baton off to me, but he doesn't let go, and we try to run down the track together, we're not going to go very far. And yet, time and again, leaders delegate, but they don't really hand off the ball well. And they're still kind of owning it. One way to tell if you're doing that, you're micromanaging. You're always asking, where is this thing? If you're staying up at night wondering and worrying about and giving office space to some responsibility that you've delegated to someone else, then you are not now free to focus on what you should be doing as a leader. And one of the key things for leaders, especially as they're moving up in an organization, is there's going to have to be more and more things they let go of so they can focus more and more of the things they should focus on. I like to ask leaders, what are the 5 things that only you can do? And once we get down to that list, we figure out, well, wait a minute, why are you spending so much time on these other things? Well, because I only trust myself to do it. Well, that's another conversation. But if we aren't handing things off all the time and developing leaders, then our own leadership development is going to get stunted. The second reason why it's so crucial to hand off delegation well is not just for your own leadership development, but for their leadership development. I heard someone once say, if you don't want to develop leaders, make all the decisions. You and I have seen this. You have seen leaders that can't let go. They can't delegate well. They have to be in on every decision. And the more decisions you have to be in on, again, the more that you're pulled across, the less you're really leading the organization well. And you're also not developing other leaders. I like to say that the true test of a leader is what happens when he or she leaves the room. When you are gone for a day, for a few hours, for a few weeks, where you're gone for longer than that, when you're not around, what does the team do? If they have had no practice with responsibility, if they've had no practice with owning something and having something delegated to them that they can run with on their own, this is the worst time then to find out. And the key here is you don't want your leaders to make the same exact decision you would make if you were there. That's not good leadership. You want your leaders to use the same set of values and beliefs and vision and direction to make those decisions as if you were there. That's what you want. Well, they're only going to gain those through delegation. Delegation is critical for leaders like us if we want to develop our own leadership and we want to develop the leadership of those around us. Well, how do we do that? I want to get into that over the next few coaching tables. I want to introduce you to a concept called the delegation football and kind of the three elements that make up a good handoff. But as you're starting to think about that, I'd like you to look at the coaching table question for this week, and here it is. Where in the last year have you dropped the ball in delegation? I'd like you to think about it in your own parenting, your own coaching, your own leadership, your own teams. Where is it you've tried to hand off some responsibility and the ball got dropped? I'd like to interact with that question about you. You can always scroll down and click on my name here and send me an email. I'd love to hear about your stories. Maybe incorporate some of that into what I'm teaching here about your own successes and failures with delegation. But we're going to get better at that together. We're going to learn how to do a great delegation handoff. Well, I'll be back next week to kind of kick off the first part of that delegation football. And until then, you're always welcome at the coaching table.